I'm going to call the meeting to order with a roll call. David Grove?
I'm here.
Lee? Sue?
Here.
Eli?
Yep.
Jeanette here. And Sandra is absent with notice. Okay, would you please stand for the pledge of allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Tonight we're going to start with Will. It's Will, right? My mind, you know. We're going to start with Will right off the bat because that way he can leave and do whatever he has to do. So
Get a suit off.
So it's yours.
All right. So let's.
Let's go through the budget. Any particular ones that have increased a lot or anything
So that's
like
what
that?
That's what I was going to say for the expected budget for next year. There are a couple of kind of big ones, kind of right in your face, that have changed, and there's really only two lines that have changed significantly. Most of the other stuff in there is contracts and other things. But the two lines that went up significantly are the union line, the PD salaries line.
Yeah.
Not the salaries, I'm sorry, the second one there, the patrol union salaries.
Okay.
That went up fairly significantly, and that's because of our sixth person.
Okay.
So we've been in negotiations with a specific person to try to get that person here. We got authorization in this year to add a sixth person to our roster so we can add another person in and run another shift, particularly an overnight shift.
Now, is that sixth person a part-time?
No, that'll be a full-time.
A full-time,
role.
okay.
So what we did when Tony went through this last time for the budget that's in place right now, what we did was he cut out a significant, I think it was half of the part-time line, and also cut out a little bit somewhere else too. I don't recall exactly where it was from, to cover. It was about half the cost of hiring another full-time employee. So we're cutting back on our part-timers to increase one full-timer, and so that the cost isn't as significant. Now, that person, the last time the budget was done for this year, it was the budgeted amount for hiring somebody was at our lowest possible rate, which is our rate to bring somebody in that has no certification, no training. So prior to the academy at that rate. What we did for this coming year was we tried to increase that a little bit so that we can try to get somebody in here who's full-time certified.
Okay.
And so that's where the biggest change is in the budget right now, is for that sixth person that we have yet to be able to hire. We wanted to try to get that person in, obviously, earlier this year, but for a few months, we were running 3 officers. So we have 5 regular full-time officers and a couple of part-timers. We were down to 3 full-timers and relying very heavily on our part-time officers, go ahead.
Excuse me, when you say a certified officer, that means they haven't got to go to school, right?
They don't have to go to the police academy.
Right, and that saves you quite a bit right there.
It saves you an insane amount of time.
Yeah.
Because what happens with the academy is the academy is 16 weeks long. We have to pay that person for the full 16 weeks at their regular hourly wages for 40 hours a week, and we don't see them for 16 weeks. So we're paying them, and they're, I don't want to say no good to us, but for scheduling purposes and for coverage on the road, they're really not, because they're not here. Once they get out, then they go through 2 months of field training, and so they're still not covering schedule. They're with somebody else while they're training. So to hire somebody who's full-time certified, in the long run is a drastic savings. So what we're trying to do is we increase that line to try to be able to hire somebody who is full-time certified, so we don't have to go through that process. We're in the...
Just a minute.
Yep.
Sherry, we're on 39 of the 2020 budget.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
It's funny because I just saw that we have our officer posting on the wall here still. But we are actively accepting applications right now for that sixth person that we're trying to hire.
So altogether then, the increase is only about 16,000, even though you're going to have a one full-time? Because you've got 5 for the part-time, and then you've got an increase of 11,000 for the patrolman, so it's really only like 16,000, right?
It's not, yeah, and that's how we were able to, by taking, I believe it was, we cut our part-time line in half. And that's where all that extra money came from. So to hire that extra person is not like you're just throwing some extra person into the roster. We're taking the money from someplace else that we already have, a significant portion of it. It's not going to cover all of it, but it's going to cover a good amount of it, so that you're only increasing that line by so much.
Okay.
And then the other one that's on there that is a fairly glaring increase of the uniforms line, and that's because I have 4 vests to buy this year. At about $1,000 a piece.
Okay.
So that's where I increased it. I think it was about 3,000 total, and that was to cover using what's the funds that are already in place, and then adding a little extra money there so that we can cover the cost of those 4 vests that we have to.
And they're about 1,000 a piece, you said?
Roughly, yeah, somewhere between 8,000 and 1,000, depending upon what the current state
Okay.
is.
The explanation said something about requested increase per new boots for officers. Is that an error?
Where does it say that?
16, page 41.
Request increase per new boots per officer.
It's
Yeah,
under
it
the-
says, talks about boots. Maybe it should have said vest. This is uniform.
So well,
Mine says protective vests, etc.
Oh,
This
Yeah,
line is
and
used
then
for
it
expenditures
says-
to replace.
Yeah, and then
It
after
says
that, it
it's
says
talking about right
requested
here.
increase
Yeah,
per
but it
new
says
boat.
protective vests, etc.
that portion of it is because the, under the union contract, the amount that they get per year for a boot allowance.
Yeah, they get
when-
200, I think.
It used to be $100 and then it went up to $200. So we have to cover the cost per officer of an extra $100 for boots, but that also includes the extra vest that we have to buy. this
Oh,
year.
I see, okay, yeah.
yeah, so most of
So
it's
it's the ones that aren't included.
Yeah, so the
Okay.
increase is primarily for, the added increase for this year is primarily for the vest that we have to purchase, because we have 4 people that their vests are expiring, or one part-timer that doesn't have a vest. He works full-time for another agency, so he's been using their vest. And then we have John Moretto, our new officer that we just put through the academy. He was using, for the academy purposes, he was just using an old vest, but that's not adequate. It's not meant for him, and it's old. So it's somebody's old one that actually I think does expire this coming year, or this
Okay.
2020.
Sherry, you have a
So it's
question?
valid.
When they come and then they go, do they get to take their vest? Because I know we had
What
one
we-
come and.
Yeah, what we
hold his-
typically will do is the other agency will either buy their vest, whatever's left on it. So if it's a new vest, they'll purchase it. So we do a 3-year contract with people, so technically they're not supposed to leave, or they can be sued for within that first 3 years. But the vests are good for 5. So typically what you'll do is the other agency will either buy the vest, or if they choose not to take it with them, because the other agency is going to buy them a brand new one per their standard, because they come in all different levels. And that's how kind of John has one right now that's still currently technically good, even though it's not made for him, is because somebody had left and they left their vest.
Okay,
And that's how we're running him right now with the vest.
all right.
And then we have 2 other people that their vests expire this year, so they're due for
Lee?
a new one.
Going back to number 2 on that PD patrolman salary, is that covering, is that for 4 officers?
So, yes, because the salary line has myself and the lieutenant in there. So it'll be sergeant and then the 3 patrolmen.
Okay. And then also, yeah,
Sorry, 2 there.
with the 6th officer,
Yes.
are we gonna have 24-hour coverage in town?
Without getting into specific details for scheduling, for officer safety reasons, so many nights a week, yes. So that extra person will create another rotation in our schedule, and that rotation will be a midnight shift. It won't be 7 days a week, but it will be a significant portion of the week.
No, that's fine, because-
But yes, it will be 24-hour coverage.
yeah, because
What we're
right now,
seeing-
right now, it's been on call for
It is.
quite a number of years.
It has.
That's
And-
why I'm questioning.
The reason that when we first put in for that 6-person, it was to run a midnight shift, an overnight shift, and it's because we're seeing an increase in the call-ins. I was called in at 5:22 this morning. You're seeing people get called in more regularly, and on top of that, with the nature of the way that law enforcement is going, we're seeing a lot more stuff happening late at night due to drug activity. So call a spade a spade. A lot of the drug activity that we see, these people are up very late at night, they don't sleep for days on end, and we're seeing an increase in activity on those hours that we are technically on call. So we get a lot of late reporting to us about things that are going on in town because people say that they know that we're not on 24 hours a day and they don't want to call us. I encourage them, that's what we're here for, that's why we're on call. Call us if you need to, but we still get a regular amount of people that come in and say, I'm not going to call you in on that. If we had an officer here, then I think they'd be more apt to call. That's the vibe I'm getting. And I think that they will. And I think that additional 6th officer on a midnight shift will be able to do a significant amount of work in that time frame.
Let me ask another question then. God forbid, and don't misunderstand me because my son was involved, but with the drug situation, that officer should be going in with a backup. Is that gonna come from Holderness or Plymouth, or you just, whichever you can try to get a hold of?
It depends on who's on and who's available.
Okay.
So depending upon the time of day, certain agencies around us are 24 hours and certain ones are not.
Yeah,
So we will, if we need to call a backup officer in, for immediate, we'll call one of those other surrounding towns, be it state police or one of the immediate surrounding towns here, to get somebody that additional help. But what it would mean is that we would have, instead of say, a half-hour response to kind of round it all out, for any type of an emergency that happens late night when we're on call, you'd get somebody there immediately, and then that backup would be arriving shortly thereafter.
Yeah.
So our call response would go from, say, 30 minutes to,
5 to
depending
10.
upon what part of town they're on, 5, 10, 2 minutes, whatever it happens to be.
Okay.
So it would provide quite a significant increase in service to the town with a fairly minimal impact, considering that we're pulling the money from someplace else.
all right, thank you.
Yeah. So those are the two big ones that are kind of glaring at. The other ones that kind of went up short here or there were contracts, cell phone bills, and our prosecutors association, our dispatch fees,
Yeah, and those you can't
computer
have.
contracts. We can't really control any of that stuff.
Now, in any of these, was a 3% raise in there at all?
No,
So Charlie can
No.
speak a little bit to how that works.
no,
Can you tell me why? Or?
because that's part of the CBA, and the CBA needs to be voted upon by the legislative or town vote. So- We are in the process of negotiating the collective bargaining agreement with the
Right.
union. Once we come to an agreement, that will go to town vote.
The
So-
thing is, though,
And that 3% is in that vote. If we get, if
but
we
this is the
negotiate.
problem, you need to put it in the budget too. Because
No.
if that 3% is put in
No.
and it's not in the budget, how do you pay it?
If the article's approved, the
Right.
amount on the article goes into the budget.
Yeah,
Does it say that? I mean, do
any
people know that?
any monetary article
Yep.
automatically goes into the budget if it's passed by the voters.
Yeah, voters gotta vote on the CBA.
How will people know that?
Well, it's a warrant.
Word of
I
mouth.
mean, how will they know it goes into the budget?
They know they're voting for an
An
appropriation.
Right.
Yeah,
But the budget that we have at the SB2 meeting does not include that, because we haven't voted on it yet. So how are they gonna know that that
They know
amount
it's in
they,
addition to the
Yeah.
proposed budget, and it's gonna be added on top of it. They know that.
well, some of them do, some of them don't.
I'll have to look at the language of the article that was written.
I don't know where they think the money's coming from.
Is that
then.
gonna be explained out in the voters guide?
Oh, yeah, yeah. Yeah,
Okay.
Yeah.
All right,
Yeah.
that's what I
Yeah,
needed to know.
We'd have to look into how, I can't think off the top of my head how that article was written 3 years ago. I think it was 2017 when the CBA last passed. It was a 3-year agreement.
Okay, but this is the other thing.
Mm-hmm.
If the union goes through, yes, because that's a warrant article.
Mm-hmm.
But other employees, if the budget committee would like to give them a raise, we need to vote it in
Yeah.
before the SB2 meeting.
That's right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's the budget committee's budget to present.
Right.
Are you and the lieutenant getting a raise?
Um,
No, I'm just asking.
yes.
Okay.
You are?
Okay.
Oh,
Yeah, yeah.
how is that happening?
I don't see it in there.
He has a
It's just
contract.
contract.
He has a contract.
Because there are certain people in town that aren't getting a raise, that's one
And there-
question.
But was the contract for so many years, or is it,
Mhm.
okay, then in the contract, it must have stated that he would get the raise? Okay,
So why are
that's
the
what I
numbers
needed
not
to know.
changing? Is that because the change of police chiefs, or?
The salary was a little bit higher. Tony made a little bit more,
Okay,
basically.
okay.
So the
he's-
the money's already there.
Okay,
We don't have to ask for more.
okay.
He
So,
would take more.
so Will started
But
at a
that's
lower
not-
level than
Yes.
Tony.
He'll come in
did.
with a tux viewer.
Yeah.
Okay, so that makes sense,
Um,
okay. And the lieutenant is also getting a raise?
Yes.
Okay.
I got one more question.
Go ahead, Lee.
This is kind of off of this to a point, but it has something to do with it too.
Sure.
And it's more directed at Charlie and potentially the Board of Selectmen. But is there anything happening with Sanctuary?
Sanctuary.
Because
The marijuana place? you mean?
Yes.
that is a marijuana growing that is looking at the mill, has been looking at the mill for quite some time.
Yes.
The good part of that is
Mm-hmm.
backups and all that.
Mm-hmm.
You're gonna have a state police presence in town because they're in charge of security.
They'll never get LW Packard now with all the stuff
No,
that's going
that's-
on down
Yeah.
there.
What's that?
They'll never want it.
You'll never want
Excuse me, they
They'll
want
never not, when they find out what's in there, they're not gonna want it, I can guarantee
Oh,
you.
no, they're.
I mean,
they're
I've been talking
no,
to
they're
John
talking
Glidden.
about,
That's the new part.
the other end, the new yarn plant.
Oh, okay, I thought you were talking about the
No,
other
no,
one,
no,
I'm
no.
sorry, Lee,
No, not
I'm
that
sorry, I
one.
thought you were talking about the other
But
one.
it's gonna be a
Okay,
boon,
oh, okay,
it's gonna be a boon for the electric and water departments in
Sharon,
particular. That's all.
Is that a 3, I can't remember what the contract is. It is a 3 or a 5% raise increase
For who?
for you and the lieutenant?
I don't know the
I can't
percentages
remember
off
on-
the top of my head.
Yeah, I can't either. I can't remember what it is.
But mine, my contract was 3 years and it was, a relatively small increase.
I don't
I want to say it
I don't
was
remember
3%
think it
each
was
one.
I don't think it was quite, I don't think it was even 3%.
No? Okay. I was just curious, because I remember the
percentage,
contract and
yeah.
everything, and it went up percentage-wise equally every year. But your
So,
first year,
Mine is not going to go up at the same rate the CBA is going up. They're getting a higher increase than I am.
Right.
So mine isn't matching, mine isn't 3%.
are they
like
asking
theirs
for
is.
5% or are they asking for
I
3%?
don't-
well, we don't know, cause they're in negotiation.
Okay,
I'm out of that loop.
yeah, that's fine. Thank you.
Sherry?
I don't know what line we're on or whatever, but if we can jump to line 831, special programs, and unfortunately, when I see, and I got this today,
Yep,
over 50%, I kind of question it.
yep, so what I can
You
tell
got
you is
3
that
lines right there.
most of those lines, those ones, as you can see, I've got quite a bit of scribble on my paper here, but here. That number is actually decreased, so the bills just haven't been processed yet. For 831, that's actually, once the bills go through in a process, that's down to 158.47. So that's gonna be,
158.47,
What
yeah.
page are you on, Sherry, please?
the PD.
So
page,
she's on
5 still.
the expenditure.
Thanks. Expenditure.
So all the way down towards the bottom there, maybe 7 or 8 up, police special programs. That line, I
Look at
believe
your
yours should
percentage,
read.
if he's more than over, he's 82%
Yeah,
according to this.
so there's that clump right there that
Right.
I can speak to those three
Yeah, those are the
above
three.
the matching grants. So I guess first I'll say the matching grants one. Since I've been here, we haven't really been very active in writing grants. I can tell you with our current staff, we are going to be way more active in attempting to write grants. So that's why I would ask, I know Tony has in the past, I would ask that line stay where it is because we want to continue, we want to start writing grants to try to save money. So if we don't have anything in there, it's kind of hard to kind of have that matching. Good.
Can I make a suggestion?
Shoot.
Where you need a couple extra vests, and they're at $900, and we are a budget
Bottom
line,
line.
bottom line
Right.
budget. Could you look into possibly getting one, maybe 2 of those vests this year? So that's expenditured out of the budget since you already have it, so it just doesn't sit there?
Our body armor company is coming tomorrow at 9:30 in the morning
Excellent, thank you.
to meet with John.
All right,
So yes.
next.
Then the next line up there that says police training, that line is down to 263.93 from that 2,200. So that's not at 100% anymore. Between our training today, yesterday, and some other things that we have in the mix, that's been significantly brought down. The next line up from that is the one that Sherry just brought up with the special programs. That was 658.93. That is down to 158.47. And then the one above that for police equipment, although that says 36.63,
Yeah.
that line is actually down to 126.56.
Yeah, no, I was only questioning the ones who are over 50.
I just have that whole
So,
block.
yeah,
right now,
that's
so
cool, that's cool.
Figure that address.
What about the medical services? You're still at, that
So,
must be a good thing that we're
the-
still there. 'Cause of the
Yes,
phone
the
calls.
medical one covers kind of a number of different things. So when we hire people, we have to put them through a medical exam. And so depending upon kind of how we're hiring them, in terms of if they're a brand new officer or already certified and coming in, we have to put them through certain medical, psychological evaluations, polygraph examinations, actual medical doctor checks. That also covers our blood draws for our DWIs. And it also covers if somebody gets injured. So that is also covered partially under that line. So,
Well, then
yeah,
that's
it's kind
good
of
that- Well, it's good that one's there.
it's a good thing that it's still high.
Yeah.
But most of that one has been brought down because of the DWIs that we've been encountering.
Okay,
So our breath test, the state recently in the last couple of years kind of changed their breath test operating. And so the machine that we used to use in our PD is no longer valid. It's way outdated. So they've taken that back from the state one second. And then the new system, if you wanted it, they required certain VPNs and Ethernet protocol setups for direct contact with the state, which was going to cost more money. And primarily when we do DWIs now, we ask for blood because of drugs and everything else on board. So we're not doing breath tests much. The downside is that as a breath test doesn't cost us anything. Blood does. So every time we bring somebody to the hospital for a blood draw, it costs us money. Nominal to keep somebody off the road and killing somebody, but it still does cost money. So that's why that line is where it is. And thankfully it's not more depleted.
Lee?
well, cool, thank you.
Lee, wait a minute, Lee has a question, he has his hand up.
You have DNA test for your officers?
No.
Why?
For what purpose? For what purpose? Like what would be
To
tested?
make sure they're not coming in half drunk or on drugs coming in too. Marijuana for one.
Yeah, so that's not
No, I'm
something.
just saying.
Yeah, it's, we've never. I mean, when you work at the PD, you're open to, or even anybody in the town really, you're open to a drug test at any time. So I mean, if we felt somebody was under the influence or perhaps on something, we could order a drug test at any time. But it's not something that we do regularly, and
Oh, it's a random test.
it would be a random testing that we would do to somebody, but we don't typically do that during the hiring process. The hiring process and the background checks that we do are fairly rigorous, and we ask a lot of those questions. And with that polygraph examination, we get the truth pretty pretty regularly. Because if somebody lies to us on that portion of it, they're washed out of the process right from the get-go. So people are pretty open and honest about it.
Yeah, and the only reason I ask is because the highway, the utilities go through DNA. They're town employees too.
Well, drug testing.
Drug test.
Drug and alcohol both.
Yeah.
They're random.
Oh, is that what, oh, DNA, okay.
Well, it threw me off for a second, too.
Oh, I thought you said DNA.
He did.
He did.
DNA.
Drug and alcohol.
I know, but I get it.
Oh, I thought he said.
He did.
He did.
Yeah.
It's a play on words.
Did you have a
All right,
question?
yeah. I was like DNA.
I get, I,
Oh, I was just
Drugs and
wondering,
alcohol. Oh, okay.
how much do blood drawings cost for?
I think right now the blood draws for DWIs are 60. I just paid 60 or
But
80 bucks a piece.
not to go off topic, what she said, some of my colleagues have posed that question to what the PD does because marijuana is becoming legal in a lot of states. And when it comes to hiring PD, you know, but the general rule is in New Hampshire, look, you do it, you're not getting the job. But in some other states, you know,
And that
Vermont
is
and Maine, you can only type.
It
But
is
you
You
can.
can't live, you
Mass
can't
too.
stop
You
it
have
from
to
your
give up
officers.
your
it is a discussion right now because medical marijuana in the state is legal.
That's
So
right.
you can go to your doctor and get a marijuana.
See?
That's what they do
qualifying
with the one up on
conditions.
Tenny Mountain. They have to bring a note from the doctor.
Right.
Yeah.
Sanctuary up there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's something that is a fairly heavy topic right now with
Yeah.
the chiefs in the state.
Yes.
Yeah.
There is no hard, fast rule on it right now.
Yes.
It's kind of on
Mhm.
individual basis, you know, as to
Yeah.
kind of how that shakes out.
Yeah.
We haven't been presented with it yet.
Yeah.
I'm sure
God.
it'll come at some point.
Oh, yeah.
You know, and hopefully by the time it gets to us, it's been addressed by Manchester or Concord or Bedford,
Right.
and they have
Yeah.
some type of a protocol that they're
Yeah.
going on with the
Yeah.
Yeah.
AG's office, kind of blessing on how they proceed with it. Because right now, I don't know what the answer would be at this point,
Yeah.
because it's a touchy topic.
It is
Because
very
it's fluid. It's constantly changing at this point.
Sherry, you have a question?
I believe if you sign a medical marijuana card, you lose your rights to your firearms. So that would be an officer with no firearms, which probably wouldn't be any good.
Well,
But there are legal things when you sign
Right.
your rights over to a medical marijuana card that people should be informed. They should look up a website and see what their New Hampshire rights are because they do lose a lot of their rights. So I can't believe that if they do the random drug test or whatever, if they find them on marijuana or they have a medical marijuana card, they can't carry a gun. They can't own guns or firearms.
I'm saying they can't, they
So-
will, but they're not supposed to.
I'm just saying, by law, they're not supposed to. So there are a lot of laws that way and everything. So I don't know if we really need to get into all that because it really doesn't pertain to what we're doing. here.
Right.
well, there are some.
So-
I'll just add a little piece to that. That there are some. There have in the past been officers that have had protective orders against them where they can't have firearms, and basically what they have to do is be issued a firearm
We had a chief that
upon
way.
arrival, and then the firearm must be turned in upon departure of their shift. So I don't know if there's something like that with the medical marijuana card, if there's some type of a provision in there.
Look it
I
up
don't
on the
know.
website.
But there might be, because sometimes law enforcement has a little bit of a different clause in there.
Yeah,
So
they
with
do.
this one, I'm not particular on.
Yeah, look it up. It's right. You can find it on the
I will
websites.
do.
The only
very-
way, the only
it's
thing with
very accessible.
marijuana, it's in your system for approximately 30 days.
So, call the question. Can we move on, please?
Okay, go ahead.
Well, that's the kind of the budget in a nutshell. There's not a whole lot of other changes in there. If there's something that raises an eyebrow, I'm more than happy to
Yeah.
address it. But really the big ones I wanted to talk about were those two kind of large increases. There was a note here I wanted to briefly talk about with. Surprised nobody asked about the deficit there for the part-time officers right now. We are in the hole significantly for that. I just wanted to touch on that, saying that we were down to 3 officers for a period of time after we had some departure and some resignations. And we were running only 3 people, so we were supplementing with our part-time officers very heavily because we didn't have the personnel to have them cover extra shifts. It just wasn't available.
Okay.
So we do have enough elsewhere in the budget particularly in the current union salary line, because we didn't hire that sixth person just yet to cover that offset. But it is kind of glaring there when you see that it's not in the whole.
It's okay, you have $47,000 in those two other lines, you'll be all set.
Yeah, I just want to do it. I just wanted to bring it out there, put it on the table.
You think you're okay on line 26, the Plymouth prosecutor?
Yes, so what we did this year, in the last couple of months, we have switched our prosecutors. And so we're a part of an association. And with that association, we have several different towns, and the more towns that are involved, the less our bill is. At the time that we switched our prosecutor, we had a couple of towns pull out of the process. So we've already run all the numbers for this year, and it's contracted at this point for the numbers that are there. So the way that we did it with the association, given all the drastic changes that happened with the association, was all of the PDs that are involved agreed to basically stay where they were at for last year's budget and carry that over into this year's budget until things can settle down and we can kind of get rolling with what we have now. And then it should go down because it was slated to go down. Then we had two towns pull out of the process due to a deal that was made elsewhere. And if they had stayed in, it would have gone down significantly. But since they pulled out, we kind of got stuck with the same bill that we had last year. So we're not going up. Unfortunately, we're not going down just yet. Hopefully, in the next year, it will be going down.
So how many towns are in now? Just
In that-
8 now?
In the association, currently we're sitting at 6.
Okay.
And then we just added one town, so it should be at 7. Off the top of my head. So 2 pulled out, 1 came in.
Oh.
Well, the 2 that pulled out were larger towns, and it's based, our
Yeah.
fees are based on a percentage
Yeah.
of the calls, of the prosecution numbers. So we pay a percentage based on our usage. So the more towns that are in there, the lesser the percentage because there's more to kind of spread across. So the one town that came in is a smaller town, and the 2 that left were kind of bigger. So we're still trying to get a couple of other towns in there to kind of spread the wealth.
Which towns? I'm just curious.
Pull out of it,
Yeah.
Lincoln and Woodstock
Okay.
up north, yeah. They were our furthest north towns, and they
Right.
went into an agreement with another town. So the 3 of them kind of formed an association.
Which kind of makes sense, because they are, quite far away.
So what came in?
Romney.
Okay.
So, Sherry?
Are we talking about the Plymouth prosecutor? Is that what
Yes.
you were talking about?
Yes.
It was an increase of $1,237.
No, there isn't any.
From 18 to 19,
That
yes.
was, that
Oh,
was
from
last
18
year.
to,
Yeah,
oh,
it
okay,
increased
I'm
last
sorry,
year.
sorry.
From
I was
19
looking
to
at-
20.
So, all
Yeah,
right,
this year it stayed the same.
okay, sorry.
It's all right.
Any other questions that are floating around?
The dispatch service, is that a certain amount that you have to pay every year?
Yeah, so that's also, kind of like the association, that's also a percentage based on usage, and there's a lot more towns involved in that
Okay.
one. But yeah, we pay a percentage based upon, and it's an average over, it's either 3 or 5 years. They average it out, so there's no drastic increases. What you'll see is when you have a new officer come on, or you hire a couple of new officers, your increase goes up because they're out there stopping cars and cranking out car stops and doing very, very active. When that happens, your usage goes up. So instead of having it kind of fluctuate drastically from year to year, for budgeting purposes, we do it over I don't remember if it's a 3 or 5 year, because the Prosecutors Association is either 3 or 5, and then the dispatch is either 3 or 5. I have to get the numbers for that one, which one is which. But they do it over a number of years average, so that there aren't those great fluctuations that happen as they play out, because of budgeting for that can be very, as you know, very difficult.
Yeah. Okay. Does anyone else have any other questions for Will?
I'm just wondering about detail. How do you predict that, or you just?
So detail rate is kind of an interesting one, because it's actually our revenue generating portion for the town.
Right, that money comes back.
So that comes back, but what happens is that if we pay out a detail, we pay it out and then the money comes back and goes into the general fund, so it doesn't replenish that. So, you know, you can't really, and Charlie and I had this conversation fairly recently because we know there's a lot of road work coming up this coming summer on 175 and on Main Street here, they're gonna be doing quite a bit of road construction. So we know that that detail rate's gonna go, we're gonna have a lot of details coming in. So we're gonna be paying those out. That line will end up probably going through the floor and showing drastically negative, but on the other side of it, we bill out more than what we're paying
What you're paid,
officers.
yeah.
So if we're paying officers X dollars an hour, we're doing X plus 20 or whatever it is, depending
Yeah.
upon if they're with or without a cruiser. So it actually does generate money for the town, it just doesn't, it won't show particularly right there because it'll show as a deficit there.
Right.
But it goes back into its general fund?
Yes, yeah.
Well, on the revenue side, it shows as a separate line.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, it's income from departments.
Right.
I don't know how you predict that from year to year. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't know where the initial number came from, and I don't know how that was kind
We
of
haven't had
predicted
a
upon, if there
revenue
was
sheet for a
something that
while.
they knew was coming up one year, and that's, so they plugged that in. I'm not really sure where that came from. I think it's just so that there's something in that line, so that we can pay it out, because we don't get a lot of details.
Right.
And a lot of times when we do get details, for instance, when we had the circle triathlon, they were just paying for it. It wasn't actually even coming out of, you know, this kind of stuff. And when it came to the 4th of July, you know, that's not coming out of this line, it's coming out of something totally different.
Yeah.
Even though that's our heavy detail for the year.
Yeah.
So this would be more towards road work. You know, this past summer, First Light was running a bunch of fiber optic cable, so we had
Yeah.
a few details going off of
Yeah.
that kind of stuff. But there really isn't a way to predict that one. It's a crapshoot.
Which is understandable, I mean, every year is different.
But I think the important part to realize with that one is that even if it does go significantly negative, it's back in the town on the other side of it. It's not,
Right,
you know, it's not a payout.
It's not
for the
like you're
town at all.
losing money.
Right, you're gaining money in the long run.
right, right. Does anybody else have any other questions for Will? Eli? Sherry?
I have a question, but not really about this. Lee did bring up the question of if you were on board with the growing facility. Are you, or, I know Tony seemed to be. I went to that meeting. Everybody in town seemed to be, that was there, was in with that meeting. I mean, that brings over $10,000 to the electric
Just electrical.
department.
Like
You know,
per month.
plus per month.
So,
I mean, that could save your electric department for whatever
absolutely.
reasons.
When Tony was in that process before, going through and talking with them and kind of on the, when they were kind of coming to the board and everything else, him and I actually went and toured their facility to see
I
what would be
remember
coming to town here for that. And based on what I saw at that facility and with talking to their security people and everything else, no issue with it whatsoever.
Tony
Not a
wasn't even
concern.
allowed in until,
Is that?
Tony wasn't even allowed in until the general manager said he's okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
thank you.
And the folks down there that are running the process, they're insanely
Yeah.
smart and very polite, very professional. And based on what I saw down there, no concerns whatsoever.
Okay, cool, thank you. I think that would be a
Good.
big asset if people would actually get on that again and see why that didn't get here.
I don't know, I wasn't privy to what
I mean, they have
the,
boats back in there,
what the
which is a
stall
shame.
was. I mean, it was, I know it was moving it was progressing pretty rapidly, and then it just kind of petered out, and I don't know what that process was.
I think there was a death in the family,
Oh,
actually.
okay.
but-
I heard rumors
But
about
anyway.
how they opened up another facility up in Conway, and that Rochester to Conway was a direct route. That was more of the reason, but I don't know if that was true or not, that was rumor mill.
Okay,
Not
well, cool, thank you.
speculative.
Well, I know the owner of El Paco passed away too,
Yeah, gotcha.
and that might have something to do with
That
it.
could do something.
Yeah, the sons are in charge, I
Yeah.
guess. I don't know.
Has there been any crime associated with these growing facilities for medical marijuana, or is it?
So I asked the same question down there. I said, so what do you know, what happens here? And they said, they basically rebuilt, what they would be getting down here is the shell.
Mhm,
And then they completely rebuild everything else.
mhm.
So from the outside, it would look the same, but the inside would be decreased significantly in size based on the walls and the structure that they would build within the building. So I asked him, he said, we get some knuckleheads every once in a while that try to, pull a door open or whatever, but he's like, nobody's ever getting in here. I mean, the biometric layers, they have so much money, the technology that they have blows anything that we could touch out of the water, so.
The employees' cars
there's
park
nothing
in
there.
the building. The employees don't even park
They're-
outside.
And then
They're
there's
in the
layers of
building.
security within, it's no concern.
Okay.
Yeah, nobody's gonna get in there unless they allow them in there. Based on what I saw, there would be some significant operation for somebody to break into that building.
Okay, if there aren't any more questions, Will, I think you can
Sure,
go back to that
I'm not hard to find if there are.
program.
You go get your monkey suit off.
I'll try not to. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you for
Thank you. So Charlie, you have no idea with the union, right, how that's going or anything, or, okay. Does anybody else have any questions?
I'm just curious when we're gonna get warrant articles. Do you have any prediction, or is it?
I do not.
Okay.
We have a selectmen meeting on Monday. I have started to pull the warrant together as we speak. We've gotten a few petition warrant articles. I think department heads they have to get the articles to me hopefully by the end of the week. I think I have most of what I need to talk to the selectmen about. The big thing, David, is the petitions to come through.
And the selectmen don't have anything to do with those anyway, really.
Yeah. That's then they have to be in by the 14th.
I was gonna say, they don't have to be until the 14th, so.
What's gonna happen with the library warrant article?
I don't know. That's an example for one, whether or not.
Is that something the selectmen have gotta decide whether they want to do it or not?
Yes.
Well, it will be a library warrant article. The question would be whether the selectmen will.
That's what I was
present it
saying.
Or it will be a petition. warrant
Petitioned.
article. Yeah.
I wonder if, my concern is can that be done where the Scribner trustees are in charge of that building and the money and everything?
Well, no, the library article is to buy the school street.
The school.
The
Oh,
school.
it's not anything to do
Nothing to do
with the
Scribner.
trustees asking
No, ma'am.
them for more money?
No. No, it's an article to purchase the school street building, the Tri-County Cap building.
Why is it only, what did you tell me, it was 14,000 or something like that?
No.
500,000
It's
Where
plus.
did I get that
25
information?
plus 100, so
Yeah.
it's 625.
We have the 100, but the 525 would have to be raised, yes.
But then the taxes, what impact is it going to have on our taxes?
Well, that's for these guys to figure out. I mean, they'll put, it depends on how much you're paying each year, what the impact will be in a particular year. So it depends on the funding mechanism. that they
So
choose.
if the selectmen say no, are you gonna put it through as a petition?
Yes.
So you're gonna have to know then, if you put it through as a petition, what impact it's gonna have on the taxes. The town's
Well-
not gonna have to do that.
Even if it's a petition warrant article, the bonding mechanism is going to be selected by the selectmen. I mean, they have to determine,
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
library trustees won't be doing the bonding. It'll be
Right.
the selectmen who have to do it. So somebody's going to have to come up with a guess as to what that would be.
Well, it's an estimate, David.
Right,
I mean,
yeah, it's an estimate, right.
Yeah, it's an estimate.
On what how the 525,000 would be bonded, how many years.
That's a
what
lot of money.
mechanism- Yeah. The banks have actually given 3 or 4 different ways of doing it. The bank that has the mortgage on the property has different ways of paying it.
Selectmen's meeting, they explained
Yeah,
that.
so,
I don't watch a selectmen's meeting.
Oh, well, I'm just saying, they explained the three different things
Well, I didn't
on
watch it.
how to do that if you would want.
I didn't watch it.
Sorry, I didn't
Yeah.
mean to offend you.
So the selectmen sort of have to make, even if they don't support it, they have to make some sort of decision as to
Yes.
how it would be funded. Because the library trustees can't do that. Or we could, I suppose, throw out 3 or 4 different figures and
Yeah.
scenarios, so I don't know.
Now, is
Now,
somebody?
here's the thing for you folks, is January 14th is the last day to receive petition warrant articles. It's
Right.
also the last day to put notification on a bond or a note.
Right.
That has to be 7 days in advance.
Mhm.
So technically speaking, you can have your public hearing on that on January 21st.
Mhm.
But you're voting on January 17th.
But we're having our public hearing on the 17th, correct?
That's right. So I guess you would vote before the public hearing, could possibly,
Well, we'll wait for the selectmen to make a decision.
but you still have to have the selectmen still have to hold the public
Oh,
hearing.
yes, right, yeah.
Anything in excess of $100,000 that is a request for a bond or a note has to have a public hearing.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
You have to-
Yeah. Yeah.
In the paper,
Yeah.
two places, time, date, purpose, and all that stuff. So,
So we're hoping the selectmen make a decision and do in enough time,
Yeah.
timely manner.
it'd be easier for the library if the selectmen just put it on the warrant, right?
Yeah, in some ways.
Yeah,
But
but we'll see.
they could put it on the warrant and then not recommend it. I mean, they don't have to. I mean, that's 2 different
True.
things.
Yeah, yes.
But usually if they put it on the warrant, it's because it's something that they want and something that they would recommend usually.
Yeah.
Sherry?
Can we ask our liaison from the from the Board of Select if they've discussed this and what their views are about this?
Yeah, go ahead and ask them.
I'm going through you, you're the chair.
Did you hear the question that Sherry
There had been
had?
some minor discussion. I mean, Charlie brought it before us. You saw what discussion that we had that evening. It's something that I would hope that there is more discussion on, because yes, it is $500,000 plus. Even at 10 years, that's almost $60,000 a year.
Right.
If indeed the Scribner Library runs out of money at some point, because we have had a library, the town must maintain a library.
Right, or they can go to court to have the judge make a decision if they wanted to use it for something else.
Well, as far as
You know, right away.
if the library leaves that building, if they're forced out because the trust runs out of
Insufficient
money,
funds, yeah.
the town is still obligated to have a library.
Right, but
How?
they can go to court though
How are
and
they
see if they can use
obligated
it
to
for
have a
something
And
else.
it's one of the
It's in the
RSAs.
Constitution.
Right. Sherry?
I guess I have a hard time with that part of the conversation in the library because I look at towns that have about the same population and everything, which the librarians and everybody in their comparison was comparing to Holderness and Plymouth. Well, I looked into more of a population thing where Thornton and Campton. Now Thornton has a double wide trailer next to their school is their library, and that's very efficient for them. Maybe they have a bigger open foot. I don't know, but you got to look at the population and of a little over 2,000 and buying a $500,000, $600,000 building for 500 members? How many members do you have? 200 members?
Well, what?
Library cards. How many member
A
library?
lot more than that, I don't know.
500?
Oh, more than 1,000.
more than 1,000.
Yeah.
So that's half of, let's say half of the population of Ashland is going
don't
to
think
buy
it's
a
that many.
500,000. Well, he said maybe 1,000. We have
Yeah,
a little
that's a
over
lot.
2,000 people.
Yeah.
It's over, it's well.
So let's say 1,500 people, okay? And what is the population of Ashland?
Right now, I think it's 2,200.
Okay, so, and the difference is, I don't have my calculator right here, the difference of your population versus your members, 1,500 members out of 25 or 2,000 people are gonna make the decision to buy a $6,000 building, if they vote. So, I love the library. My mother was the Rumney librarian all my life. So don't think I'm knocking the library or whatever, because I use it when I need it. I don't go every week and check a book out, but when I need it, I know it's there. And it serves my purpose. So I kind of looked at it and did my research on other libraries and towns around. We don't have Holderness money.
Right, that's true.
Sorry, we don't have it.
No, we don't.
We
You're
don't
right.
have Plymouth money,
You're
and we
right.
don't have Plymouth population.
Yeah.
So, and they have a fantastic library that I believe you can go and get a card there. It may cost, I don't know.
Yes, it would have to.
But if you're that type of person, then you're gonna go to that extent.
Right.
So the 1,500 people that want the library are gonna spend $600,000. I mean, if that's enough people they can get to go vote. I mean, I think our library is wonderful.
I do too.
It's
I'd like
adorable,
to
it's
see it
cute.
there,
I
stay
wish
there.
everybody would try to get along, because I don't believe that account that the Scribners have, it's not a money-making account. It's not supposed to be a money-making account. It's supposed to be an account, in my understanding, and I could be wrong, to help maintain the property in the building according to the will. And this will, and if you said something about going and taking it to court and overturning a will.
Well,
Now,
even
oh
when
my
they,
Lord.
oh yeah, before it
Would you want to write
Sherry,
down
the
your
will did not say library, so they
I'd
had
have
to go to
back,
court.
but
Well, they already
I
did.
mean,
Yeah.
that would be horrible to take this person's will that in, I don't know when she died, 1947 or 37.
39 or 30.
That had that vision of, if it wasn't a library, it was a green space.
That wasn't what the will said. The will did not say library. They took it to
Okay,
court and
town
changed
building
it.
or whatever.
Well, it said
It was
community
either
center.
that
It
or
said
a
community
green
center,
place.
and they had,
Community center.
right, they had
In
to
a
go to
park.
court, so it could be, right.
But that would be just a shame to have that person's will. I don't know. I don't believe that the Scribners, it's not a money-making.
No, it's not. All they're
And
in
it's not
charge of.
supposed to be.
Right.
And
Sherry, I'm glad that you said something
I'm
because,
sorry, but I love our library, and I love it the way it is, and people just need to stop, take a deep breath, and communicate to get along to make it work better for all of them.
I'm glad you said that, Sherry, because that's
Period.
how I feel. I think that they need to get along. I think some of the reason why they're trying to go to a different building is because of the feuding, and I just think that's really, really not good.
That's not the whole thing.
I didn't say it was the whole thing.
It's basically, it's still too small a building.
Too small.
And it's
For what?
For a library.
No, it isn't.
And you should go
Right.
look at libraries in Bristol and Holderness and New Hampton.
But
They have more
we're
money.
not Bristol, we're not Holderness. We don't have that money, David. We don't have lake money. We have a corner of the lake, and those people are vacation people, and they donate gratefully. And while we're on the subject, this is the third meeting, and I was flipping back through here. We have no revenues, which Lee asked for 3 meetings ago from the library.
I gave it to.
And they said they were minimum,
From the library.
but
Oh, library, you're right.
so we still don't have that, but you say you prepare them every month. You should have been able to take that and run it off and give us it from the last month.
I was dispatches.
And I
but
know that Christmas night in Ashland, and I get that, but.
Actually, next week, I will be preparing a report, would be mid-December, and I can make sure that you can see what our revenues are.
Can you email it to us?
Sure.
Or email it to me and I'll email it to everybody?
Yeah,
And then there's gonna be a copy, right?
okay.
Lee?
Yeah.
All right, well, you're gonna print copies?
I think one thing we're overlooking this whole
David?
thing,
Yeah.
there's a couple things here.
um,
One is, you mentioned 10 years. The town can borrow up to 30 years. That comes to $20,000 a year.
Yeah, but who
Plus
wants to
interest.
pay it for 30 years?
No, wait a minute, time out. Hear me out. But the thing of it is, from my point of view is, I'm looking at also at the safety of the students. You get them out of school, the after-school program walks them down and down Main Street. And then they gotta cross Main Street into the rec building.
Booster Club?
They could move that into one of the floors in there. So they walk from school right down to that building, and they're very safe.
I think they're safe
I'm
walking
throwing out
to the
ideas,
Booster
that's all
Club.
I'm
No,
doing.
I hear ya.
You can shake your head and talk.
No, I know,
about it.
I don't mean to,
What I'm saying is I'm trying to throw ideas out of different things that can be looked at.
I'm not saying the
Because that
building
could
wouldn't
be,
be,
you know, that after-school program could be run in there.
and then what happens if the Booster Club falls in?
Well, the Booster Club's gonna sit vacant for that, that's all.
It has other uses.
That doesn't mean that, I mean, I don't think the library wants to take on the after-school program, so you could still let the Parks and Rec do
Yes, they
it
would run it.
on the second or third floor.
Well, third floor.
Yeah, that's all
Or
I'm
using the
saying.
first two.
Yeah,
Just a
and
thought.
the way the article's written is you can do 10, 20. Basically, it asks for permission from the town for the selectmen to enter into negotiations to get to those terms. So yes, the request that came was a 10-year, but that doesn't mean
Yeah.
that the selectmen would actually
That's right.
sign off on a 10-year.
Well, actually-
Are they
It wasn't a
gonna be
request, it was
talking
just
about that and voting on,
preference.
wait a minute,
Preference,
David,
yeah.
are they gonna be voting on that Monday night at the meeting?
The selectmen?
Yeah.
They could, it's not on the agenda to vote.
I'm just wondering when they're going to make a decision as to whether to put that out as a warrant article or not.
I don't have any, you know, the discussion on Monday is gonna be around, you know, hey, we've gotta start talking about the warrant
Okay,
pretty soon.
okay.
So,
Sherry?
From the meeting I watched, they're pretty on board with it. I'm pretty sure there'll be a warrant article. We just need to know how it's written and what it's written. I'm pretty sure they're gonna do it. I mean, I watched the meeting. I did not go, but I watched the meetings. So I just wanna say, from my perspective of watching their meeting, they're pretty on board with supporting the library.
Yeah, I agree. That's the impression I got as well.
We'll see.
it's up to the town.
Yeah.
In the end, it's up to the town.
Right.
Exactly.
Right.
So we don't need to worry, I mean, we can't worry about that.
I wanted to bring up the Heritage Commission, Charlie, because I noticed they had $500 and it was changed to $1. My concern is there's quite a few things that the Heritage Commission wants to do, and I'm just concerned as to why it was put down to $1.
The selectmen never got a formal request from the Heritage Commission, but with that being said, it's also nothing against the Budget Committee voting to put it back in.
Well, that's the thing, because they want to, they want to work with like historical buildings like the town hall, the jail, things like
Yep.
that.
Yep.
They want to put markers on the cemeteries. They want to do a survey of all the barns in Ashland and do a pamphlet and everything on that.
Right.
So they do have things on the agenda that they really want to do, and if there's only $1, they're not going to be able to do anything.
Well, no, the dollar is a placeholder, and if it gets at $1 and they have those type of requests, they can come to me and come to the selectmen and, you know, we can see about moving forward with that, if that's the case.
Right, but I think maybe if we just put the $500 back in there,
Yeah,
in
sure,
the
that's-
budget for
that's
them, I
completely
mean,
Yeah.
It's
I think
completely
that
up to the
would be
budget
better.
committee.
yeah, Sherry?
Actually, I would like to make that $1,000 line because, I've talked to Kendall. We haven't recently connected, but we have a project that we'd like to do with the cemetery, committee. So either you stick that money back in that line, or I'm gonna ask for it in the cemetery
Right, those are the markers
trustees.
on the cemetery, right?
No, this is a project to restore a cemetery we have talked about that is up on Blue Sky Lane. Is that Blue Sky Lane?
Yeah.
Churchill
Okay.
Cemetery.
Yeah, it's our oldest.
It's our oldest cemetery, and we have talked about possibly kind of restoring that. I have talked to Don LaTulip, and he is in with the project, so I would like to at least have an extra $1,000 in that line.
Do we
In
have
case
any
we would like to do
estimates or
that.
anything that
We have
would give us
nothing
any
of that. It's very
idea
preliminary.
of how much money?
Don was pretty much on board using his equipment and things. I would have to get back to him, but he was very enthused because when I first became a trustee and found that cemetery, we've talked about it for the last, I think I'm on my 3rd term. We've talked about it a few times. He's always wanted to do something. So when the Heritage Commission came to me and asked if there was a project, I suggested that right off and talked to Don right away, and he was totally on board. So I would hate to see that taken out, and if not, an added $1,000 to that. There are no estimates. We would do fundraising probably for any cast iron. I mean, a lot of it would be fundraising, but it would be a real shame if the Heritage Commission didn't have that money already in their budget to do a nice project like that in the oldest cemetery in town.
Actually, the Heritage Commission did vote at a meeting to request the 500, but somehow that request never seems to have made it to the selectmen. I don't know what happened exactly.
That's true.
Yeah. I think the chairman may have been waiting for a form or
Request.
something to fill in.
Yeah, I'm not, I think
I don't know how exactly.
with everybody being new at that type of thing, I think it just sort of like fell
Fell
through the
through,
cracks.
yeah.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
That's really what.
So we did
that's
want
honestly what happened.
$500, but somehow that never
Right.
got communicated.
But I agree with Sherry, we could do a much better project.
Yeah.
I'm also on the Heritage Commission.
Yeah.
But I think we could do a better project if we have more money,
I
and it would
think
give
it
us
is.
more incentive to
Absolutely.
actually give us
With-
some get up and go.
Yeah, I think it would put a little morale in the town or whatever, instead of, I mean, if we really promoted it, it's our oldest cemetery.
Where is it?
Off of 175.
Off 175.
On Blue Sky.
Oh, I know where it is.
Sky.
I know where
It's
Blue
really
Sky is.
kind of
I
hard
know
to
where
find.
it
It
is.
took me
I know where Blue
years to
Sky
find
is
it.
now. Yeah.
Because
It's back-
you used
it's
to
back
be
in-
able not to
almost
get
at the wood
there.
line.
Oh,
When you
wow.
go all the way up.
No,
Oh, yeah, it's quite a ways up there.
it's almost to the end, but you gotta go back. It's,
Yeah, and you
Yeah.
go in and there's a road that comes back in on an angle to it.
Well,
Yeah,
didn't
it was
Don
on the
do
road.
some building or something?
yeah, there's a bunch of
up there?
houses
Yeah.
up there. In
Yeah.
fact, that nice
Yeah.
house that you see going down the highway is the end of
Blue Sky
Blue
Lane?
Sky Lane,
Oh.
that
Yeah,
nice red
that's
house
right.
that you can
For
look
some
out
unknown
into
reason, I
Plymouth.
thought that was Plymouth.
No, it's Ashland.
Plymouth,
I don't know why I thought that, you know, where it's located on
Plymouth.
175.
Plymouth
yeah.
is on the other side of the river.
Yeah.
Plymouth,
I don't know why I
Yeah.
thought that. Probably because it was 175.
Well, and I never went the first year I was elected because
Right.
you had to go over, that development wasn't there. You had to go from North Ashland Road and hike up to find it.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
So I never found that one the first
Right.
year, 3 years I was in.
It was near an old road that was abandoned a long time ago, so
Yeah.
it was hard to
Yeah.
locate.
Patsy
But
Bean-
anyway, so I don't know if I have to make a motion or whatever, but I'd like to make a motion to put $2,000 in the Heritage line, just so there is some money in there, so they can maybe do some of these community projects like that, or something else they might want to do. I mean, those are good old hometown people on that committee that have, I mean, been here.
Right.
Sorry.
Most of them are
I
on
think-
private land, correct?
The small cemetery?
Yes,
Yeah.
they're all pretty
They're all
much,
on
they're
private
all
land.
on private
Yeah,
land.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, but I think
Patsy
that's a
gave-
lot that hasn't been sold yet. I think Don.
No, it has been sold.
It has?
We know
Okay.
the owner and,
Yeah.
yeah.
I'll have a map with the guy's
But,
name on it.
and I haven't found that he has any, he doesn't want to do anything with it.
Okay, Sherry made the motion to put 200,
2,000.
I mean 2,000 in the Heritage Commission line. Is there a second?
Go ahead.
Well, I'm a little surprised at that. We were just looking for 500, so I don't know what to say.
I think it's
I
a
don't-
worthy cause,
Oh, I'm sure.
other than the other stuff. It's a bottom line
Discussion.
budget, but
For discussion, the Heritage Commission.
Wait a minute, we can't have discussion until we have a
Oh.
second.
I'll
thought
second
she
it just
did.
to first
Oh,
discussion.
thank you
Okay.
so much.
Oh.
Okay,
The
so now you
Heritage
can.
Commission, when they get their money, it rolls over every year. So right now, we already have 1,600, so I think 2,000 would be too much to ask to add to our 1,600.
you have 1,600.
They have
In the, yeah, in the bank.
No, but you said the other portion of that, you wanted to put 500 back in, right? Because there was projects. So give them 1,000, a cemetery 1,000.
Yeah, but the 1,500 is going under the Heritage Commission?
So, I guess
How-
I
Right now, we're
I
voting
amend
on the
that.
Heritage.
Go out.
Right, so I withdraw my money amount.
Lee,
Can I
will
do
you
that?
I'll
withdraw
withdraw
your
my
second?
second.
Okay.
And I withdraw my money amount to $1,000 for Heritage Commission.
Okay.
Yeah.
With the other 1,000, or do I have to make another motion for that?
Yeah, we gotta vote on this one first.
Okay,
Make your motion for $1,999. That makes it an even 2,000.
no, you had a good idea. So that's my motion, $1,000 into the Heritage Commission.
Okay, is there a second?
I'll second it. Or-
Okay.
it doesn't
Okay,
make any
seconded
difference
by
what it
Lee. Lee and Sherry both withdrew their motion, and Sherry's new motion is to put $1,000 into the Heritage Commission, and it was seconded by Lee. Is there any discussion?
Can't argue with that.
No, that's great.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
No,
Was there-
Jeanette. Now, Jeanette, we need to put money in for yours.
What did you vote?
Yes.
He didn't say anything.
Oh, I thought he raised his hand. He
Oh,
had
I'm
it up.
sorry.
Yeah, he
Sorry.
did.
I didn't
Okay.
see that, I was looking.
Yeah, he went like this, so I thought,
All
well,
right, I
okay.
thought you said.
Sherry, what was your second motion?
Okay, so my second motion would to be to put $1,000 into the cemetery trustee line,
What page is
which
that
I'm looking.
on? Yeah.
It's gotta be.
Memorial Park,
How much is in there right now?
$50.
Oh, okay.
Where is the cemetery line?
Is there a second?
Oh, you know what, it's at the beginning,
Oh, yeah,
isn't it?
it's on page
It's,
31, yeah,
What page?
31.
Thank
According to
you.
the index, I haven't found it yet, but.
Is it cemetery trustee line, Sherry?
Trust my index.
Yeah, hang on, I'll give you the
Well, it's
line.
there, right there.
Yep, that
Right
is
there.
it.
Okay, is there a second?
30.
I second that.
Seconded by Sue.
Do you want the line number?
Sure.
014159106110.
Okay.
Beautiful.
So the motion was made by Sherry to put $1,000 into the cemetery trustee line, is that what it's called?
Yes.
Seconded by Sue Harville, and the number is 014-159-10610. Is there any discussion? Lee?
Is this for all the other ones other than Green Grove?
No, it's not.
Yes,
Green
nothing,
Grove.
all the other ones except for
Green
Green
Grove
Grove.
is still part of the town.
No,
No,
no, it's a
No.
private cemetery, I have
That's right.
nothing to do with it, none of
That's
the
right.
monies go there.
I'll
That's
tell you
right.
what, you look up the RSA, because as far as I'm concerned, if the trustees go under,
Oh, yeah.
it reverts to the town.
It does,
Right.
but,
That's what I'm trying to say.
okay, but
What
in
page was
this
that on for the
actual
trustee?
line has nothing
Oh,
to
which
do
one?
with that.
The,
Okay.
There is
uh,
another
cemetery
That's
line,
why I was asking.
31.
33.
There is another
31.
line which I don't have right off the top of my head, but they are included
Green
in
Girl?
there.
Fine, I just,
Yeah.
Budget.
Oh, yeah,
31.
they're in paperwork of the town,
But they are a private cemetery.
but they are a
And they have
private
their own
cemetery.
trustees.
They have their own trustees.
Right.
Okay, we need to vote on this motion to put $1,000 in the cemetery trustee line, seconded by Sue Harville. All those in favor?
my question would be, does that make it $1,050 or 1,000 even?
No.
Makes it 1,050.
Thank you.
Oh, wait a minute.
Wait,
The motion was
Just
for
1,000, just for 1,000.
That's right, and he's asking, does that make it 1,050? Yes,
No,
it
it
does,
doesn't.
because there's
No.
50 in there.
No.
you
Just
got-
a straight
It's
thousand.
just straight 1,000.
Oh, okay, so you're not
To
gonna count the
increase-
50?
not-
To increase the line by $950 is what you're asking to
Yeah.
do.
Right, because if you gotta count the 50 somewhere.
Okay, so 950, right.
No, it's to make cemetery
To make
trustees
Increase
expenses
the line
To
1,000.
$1,000 even.
Okay.
You're all right.
Okay, Sherry Downey made the motion to increase the cemetery tree line to $1,000 even, seconded by Sue Harville. Is that
Yes.
correct?
Yes, ma'am.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Did you have your hand up?
No,
So what is your vote?
I'm going to vote nay.
Okay,
Okay.
but the motion carries even though Eli
That's
voted
right.
nay. Okay. Now, the library presented their budget, and it seems to me like everything seemed fine with their budget. Does anybody have any questions on that? If not, we can really vote on the library budget tonight.
Where does that start? What page?
99.
Thank you. Just to
Because David,
refresh my
you guys
memory.
didn't have
Is this
anything
still of
else that-
October 17th?
What?
Same as October 17th?
Yeah, there was one.
Oh, the library budget, well, it's changed a little bit, yeah. Just looking at
It's
money.
not the one that we have from Charlie,
What?
the budget?
No, the budget is fine.
Okay.
In here is fine. We haven't, he was talking about the report
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
of our
Okay.
expenditures.
Okay.
So we were asking for $72,726. And I would use that number.
726?
I thought it's
Is that what you said, David?
Yes. Includes the wages increase.
Okay, it's second line.
Yeah, right here. 117.
It's 94 from 17.
Would somebody like to make the motion to approve?
That's
I
my.
David?
did. I did already.
Oh, I thought you were just telling us how much it was. I didn't realize you made the motion, okay.
Yes, I was trying to.
Okay, David made the motion
It matches page.
to, actually you want us to accept the budget of $72,726 for the library, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, is there a second? I'll second it. Any discussion?
Yeah, my 95 is not his 95. I don't have that page.
Because he printed his own out. He was different. last time.
101.
I have a Patriots and
Page
George.
101.
I have
Starts on
65.
It's on page, no, ours isn't on. Oh, yeah,
99.
101,
Right here.
101.
99 to 101.
Yes.
Well, I have 99
Yeah.
library.
And then
Right.
turn it to
And the
101.
numbers are not the same.
Turn
Oh,
it
you
to
have-
101.
Your page is different.
101.
Her
I have
page is-
Patriot.
Her
Oh.
page is different.
Yeah, her page is
Okay.
different.
Wonder
We have-
why.
On 10, do you have the same number, 72,276?
No, that's what I
Oh.
mean. I'm like, I don't have those numbers.
I believe that Charlie
Oh,
passed out another set, an updated set of these.
That's what we have done.
okay. I didn't realize you, okay.
So,
Makes sense. Numbers don't
I
match, but, okay.
Did you say 72,276, David?
72,726.
That's what I thought.
Yes, that's what.
That's what I had originally. Okay, is there any other discussion? Sherry, do you want me to wait?
Nope, go ahead, I'm gonna vote no. 'Cause I don't have all the right numbers and everything.
Well,
I can't go on the paper as I have.
I have an extra one, I guess.
Well,
Um,
that's fine, my vote is no, sorry.
um,
Okay, the motion is made by David for us to accept the $72,726 for the library budget, and it's seconded by Jeanette Stewart. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Okay, so we have 5 ayes and 1 nay.
Okay.
So David, the library
she-
budget has
Was that
been
a nay?
accepted.
I'm sorry.
Yeah,
She
Yeah,
said nay.
nay.
Oh, okay, all
because
right.
she didn't get.
She
to
did not have the right,
She didn't have the right
Figures.
numbers, so she said no, she was gonna vote no on it, so.
Okay, all right.
Okay? Okay, so we have the library taken care of. Something I wanna bring up while I think of it. Is there any reason why we can't meet again next week, the 17th? Cause we really need to go over things.
I'm able.
You can, Lee, Eli, can you?
what day?
It's a Tuesday.
I can meet.
I can meet.
Yeah, I can.
Sherry's usually pretty good about Tuesdays. Can you meet next Tuesday, Sherry?
Yes.
Okay.
I already have it down here.
I was gonna say, I think I already have that in my book.
Yeah.
We did have it once and then we dropped it.
Yeah.
and then
No, I have today, we already,
Yeah.
I already have it on my book.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
did have, and then we talked about it at the last meeting, and,
There was something else I was gonna ask you about the calendar.
okay, that's good then. So let's meet next week again, December 17th at 6 PM.
Are we
I
still
have it
doing it?
at 9 AM.
What?
Sherry,
In my
that's way
calendar
off.
at 9
Thank you, but no
AM.
That's way off.
I can, but I can
It's
only
an
meet for
upside
15
down.
minutes.
It's an upside down 6.
Geez, you rattled you that much?
And then the public, I wanted to ask, I got public hearing on the 6th.
That's the school public hearing that
Okay.
we meet with.
On the
So
6th?
yeah, I have
On the
to-
6th
we
of
already have it.
January is the school, on the 17th of January is the town.
Okay. And we have,
I
Public
will not
hearing,
be at the budget hearing on the 6th.
Okay? The public hearing for the school,
No, I've,
Where is that gonna be located?
at the cafeteria. It's already been posted, Nadine put it on the website.
I've got a Board of Selectmen's meeting that evening.
Okay.
oh, that's right. Yeah.
Also, December 23rd, do you have that down? We're gonna be meeting with the school to go over their budget
Yes.
On the 23rd?
on the
6:30.
23rd.
Oh, yeah.
That's at 6 at the cafeteria?
Nope, that's at 6 at, I think they meet at the library. It'll be
Yeah.
one
Where,
at-
on the 21st?
on the 23rd.
I have the 21st for a budget meeting.
Budget meeting on the 21st.
No.
One of the numbers that was thrown out, I hate to keep agreeing with Sherry.
Why?
It just destroys everything.
I don't have the 21st down at all,
I hate
I
to be
know.
right.
but I can tell you what the
Sorry.
21st
I don't
was.
mind you being right.
What the 21st was is, we had decided, in January, did you put January or December for the 21st?
January.
Yeah, because January 17th, we said if it was a snow date, then we would have the public hearing on January 21st.
Okay.
That's it, right?
That's where the information came from.
Okay.
Okay.
So we're
Okay.
still having a meeting on the 21st?
January?
What, January?
Right.
Only
Yeah.
if there's snow. Only
On
if
the
we cancel,
17th?
if we cancel on the 17th,
December
January
17th, we're having
17th,
it.
January 17th.
I thought the 6th was the public hearing.
For the
Okay,
school only.
The 6th is for the school.
Okay.
The public hearing for the town is the 17th,
Right.
with a snow date of January
Okay,
21st.
I only write budget in there.
December 17th, we have a regular budget meeting at 6 PM.
So the
Oh,
snow
but we
date,
have to be together anyway.
so no date for the 6th would be the 17th? we would combine it with the town budget?
Well, actually, they didn't say anything about a snow day
Okay.
for the school. Maybe I should talk with Trish.
They don't care, they never call school off.
Oh my gosh.
You know what? It only lasts about 8 minutes, so I
Right,
would
yeah,
think they
it could
probably
be,
will
yeah.
still have the meeting.
Yeah.
Wasn't it kind of bad weather like last year or the year before?
We still had it? Yeah. We did. Okay.
School have the same date as the deliberative?
Yes. No.
They
No,
don't, but
no,
they
theirs
could.
is after.
They could.
Theirs is after the deliberative session, usually.
What?
Not
The
the same
school.
day.
Oh, no,
Why are you gonna have
they
deliberative session on a
typically
Tuesday, on
meet
Monday?
on,
We have our deliberative session on February 1st, which is a Saturday. But
And the
apparently
school usually meets, what is your snow date for the deliberative session?
That is up to the town moderator to decide.
She's out of town. You're out of luck.
She's in California.
No, Colorado.
Colorado,
But
sorry.
that depends as that week is, That's,
The,
the town clerk told me that's actually up to the moderator to decide about a snow date.
the school deliberative session is usually, I don't know if they voted on it yet, but it's usually on the same day as their regular monthly meeting, which would be February 4th.
Yeah, they usually have it after
I was gonna
RSP too. Yeah.
Well, they have it prior to their school school board meeting.
Yeah.
And you're right, only 8 to 10 minutes.
Seriously?
Yes!
I was there
You were
once.
there last year, weren't you? No?
We made it out one year in 4 minutes.
But on the police, we just have that fresh in our mind.
Well, I think, yeah, we could, and I was gonna
No?
talk about, voting on the public works, maybe? Or does
Oh,
somebody have?
absolutely not. No, I have a couple things I'm looking at in public works, if you
Oh,
don't
okay,
mind.
fine,
I'd
that's
like-
no problem, Sherry.
Yeah,
I'd rather have you tell me that than.
yeah, no, I have a couple
Absolutely.
things I'm looking at,
Yeah.
I'd rather not.
That's good. Ty, I have a question when we were talking about raises. Are there some people you gave quite a raise to and others that they didn't? I don't mean you personally.
Well, no. I mean,
Well, finance, did they-
technically, no raises have been given out in regards to next year.
Didn't the finance officer get a raise?
Recently?
Yes,
Yeah. Yeah. Finance.
$5,000?
Yeah, I thought you were talking about next year's budget. Yeah. Finance was an increase of 5,000 for water and sewer, because the position took on the responsibility of water and sewer, accounts receivable, accounts payable, the finance aspect of water and sewer. Yep. And so did it was a $3,000 increase for the clerk.
Down at the electric department. Sherry?
Which that money was taken from the salary of the person that was laid off? Where was that
Well,
money
it's-
coming
Yeah, it's
from?
from the water and sewer budget.
Okay, on that line that person that was working that got laid off, because they said there was no money in the budget. Is
No.
my understanding. I mean, so,
We shifted responsibility
Okay.
from that position, from the layoff to other department, other staff.
other staff.
Staff.
So that money that was left in the budget for that person that was doing that job before, did that money, that's where you got the money to give the raises? I'm trying to understand where
Yeah,
the
I
money
guess if
came
you
for the
wanna look at it like
raises.
that,
Only
yeah, sure.
for, only the
Only
water
for
and-
now.
Only for water and sewer. The jobs taken over by
The town.
the town. The water and sewer would have come out of that money.
Yeah.
So that salary of that water and sewer department employee that no longer does that job, that went to the finance office. Is that what I'm saying?
No, not
I
all.
mean, is that what I'm understanding?
Not all of it, but that's where it probably stems
That's
from.
where it came from. Where'd the rest of it go? Do we know?
What do you mean?
Well, you said some of it, so where's the rest of that salary line? Where did that monies go?
The
Salary
salary
is-
line is still there.
Yeah.
Because it's in the budget for last year.
Exactly, I understand
Right.
that,
It's
but
gonna
that
be-
person doesn't do that job anymore. So they shifted money to the finance, to the town office, right? I'm just trying to understand this.
Go ahead,
One
sir.
person doesn't work there anymore, so they gave the responsibility and a raise to that person. So those monies go from the water and sewer budget from last year to that salary of that new responsibility.
Well, they don't leave the water and sewer.
No.
budget. Okay. It's not shifted from the water and sewer budget to the town budget. It's shifted, they're using the water and sewer budget to pay that person to do the things the other
That's
person
right.
used to do.
That's right.
They just take it out of the water and sewer budget,
Right,
but it's
yes.
still there.
Yes.
There will,
Yes, I'm not
Yeah.
saying you
Yeah.
grabbed that money and
It's like a
threw it in
stipend.
the,
It's
but
like a
it's
stipend.
still coming
Right.
from the water and sewer.
yes.
Right.
She
yeah.
just got that monies.
Lee, you
Right.
have a question?
No, I got an answer. If you look at the water sewer budgets, you have administration on the one of them. Which one is it? On the sewer, you have administration at 2,100, administration fee at 1,203. That's 3,300. And then if you go to the water, there's another 1,750. That's 5,000 plus.
Thank you.
No. It's payroll expense. It's on the next page, 6840. That admin.
That doesn't
fee-
say payroll, it says administration.
Administration is for, that's the treasurer line.
Yeah.
For the who?
Treasurer,
Treasurer?
yes. Yeah, that should be in your description in your notes, that we had the description of the water and sewer budget.
I have
Payroll.
no description of notes, not with what we just picked
But
up.
in the budget that Rusty presented, we passed out descriptions of each one of these lines.
Oh, yeah. Right. Okay. Yeah.
Payroll expenses is administration.
Lee?
Okay, on your water sewer, and thank you for getting it to us. But the two different pages for the sewer, the numbers don't match up. Your actual for sewer on one page from January to October as a gross profit of 177,750. On the other one, it's 762,114.
Yeah, one's budgeted.
They're two separate numbers.
Yeah,
Why?
yeah.
And the
Well, I'm
other
looking
thing,
at, hold on a second.
yeah,
If I'm looking at the one that's dated, this one of two, it says actual 762,114.75. And if you look at the one in the landscape, it says actual total 762,1145.
Yep, I see
It's the
it now.
total at the end,
Yeah,
this number matches
yeah.
the.
But whoa, whoa, whoa,
right
time out,
here,
time out. I gotta go
and
further
right
here on
here.
this. I wanna go further on this,
these two are the same.
because you are commingling funds here.
We're not commingling funds.
Yes, you are.
Okay.
Yeah, you are.
Lee, calm
No, wait a
down,
minute, no,
okay?
No.
I don't
Time
mind
out,
you
no,
saying
time out,
stuff. but-
Time out, I have it right here, the
Okay.
RSA,
That's
for
not
water
true.
funds. First line, the funds received from the collection of water rates shall be kept as a separate and distinct fund, to be known as the water fund. Do they have their own accounts?
Yes.
Oh, thank you. And sewer says the same thing. But here, you're adding together, you're adding all this together.
Yeah.
No, you should have a sewer and a water, period.
They have separate columns.
It's just the QuickBooks software that adds them up.
But if
The
you,
treasurer is well aware of not commingling funds.
What I'm
Yes, she
trying,
is. She'd be the first one
Trust
to
me.
say something.
Trust me.
I'll
We've
tell you
had
what.
expenditures that we've needed, and the water department has a difficulty paying things because the treasurer strictly does not commingle. That's part of the reason why there was a layoff, was the financial struggles that water has had, and we had to save money, and we found that you could do those responsibilities in other areas of staff.
this one here says budget versus actual sewer. This one here is a combo of sewer and water, and here you have a total
Yes.
of 72114, and for sewer alone, you have 72114. So it's commingling.
It's just a financial statement.
It's being commingled.
Okay.
It looks like it, but
It
I
looks
don't
like
think
it's just a
is.
financial
No, it
statement.
is.
No, I don't think they are.
I'll
'Cause
bet if
Linda,
you had,
Linda would be the first to say something. The town treasurer would be the first to say something because she doesn't go for things like that. And she would be the first to say something.
she don't get these pieces of paper.
She does see the money though.
She sees the money, she don't sit these
That's
pieces.
right, ma'am.
I'll tell you what, why don't you confer with DRA and ask them if this is legitimate?
All right. Do you have any other questions about the financial statements?
Does anybody else have any other questions? Hold on, Charlie David's looking at it.
Oh, no, I'm fine.
Are we going to have another receivables before the end of the year from the town?
Sure.
Thank you.
Sure.
The total, because the last two, there's a difference in lines between 2 months. You dropped off one line,
What's that? Oh, you mean the taxes?
the 1099
Which
Yeah.
one?
on the 1126,
Yeah, property taxes is not revenue.
on the, where is it? What did they do with it? Oh. Okay. On the one for September 9th, you share a 311010. Property tax revenue of 3292. On this one, which says 112619,
Yeah, you took it out.
there is no 311010 on here.
Yeah. Yeah,
Why?
because you were confused last time saying that property taxes was an income, where that's not what we report for our revenue to DRA, because that property tax income is not all the towns, it belongs to the county.
It's
it
not a
belongs to the-
complete budget.
Okay, in your opinion, but a lot of property taxes also go towards state education, local
I'm
education.
not arguing
and
that
county.
point, it's a receivable by the town,
Okay,
that's all. It's just a receivable. It should be on there.
but it's not our money. It's not
Says-
town revenue.
Does anyone else have any questions? If not, I know, I had talked with Sherry before, I had said about 7:30 if we can get out, and it's a little after 7:30, so. Sherry, did you have something
I
else?
didn't. When you said that, I'm like, oh, wait a minute, let me think 1 second.
I'm sorry.
No, shoot, it's a
I did that today when I called Charlie. What'd you want? I said, I don't know what.
Yep.
shoot, I was
It'll
looking for
come to
something
you
too.
after we leave.
I know, I know.
Sherry,
I was
you know what you
looking
do?
for something too, and I can't remember.
Write it down and bring it up at the next meeting next
Yeah.
Tuesday.
Yeah.
Oh,
Can
yeah,
you do
maybe
that?
this is it. Yeah, if I remember it. Sure.
Okay,
Don't be in the
does
middle of
anybody
the-
else have any
Thanks, David,
questions,
thanks.
any concerns? If not, then I'm gonna adjourn the meeting at 7:34 PM.